David Bowie defied every category society tried to put him in. He constantly experimented with new sounds in his music and releasing albums that were glam, proto-punk, industrial, and plastic soul. He blurred the lines of gender, fashion, and sexuality. He also combined theater and music by inventing characters that he played on stage and in his music. In this week's episode of Prisoners of Rock and Roll, we're going to take a look at the faces of David Bowie, including Major Tom, Ziggy Stardust, Halloween Jack, the Thin White Duke, and the Blind Prophet from his final album, Blackstar.
Like pump it up so it comes in like.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll, episode number 35.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening to us. My name is Bruce Kramer, and I'm here tonight with all the young dudes. My co-host, Ryan McCusker, and Doug McCusker.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Are you rocking?
We've got 2 turntables and a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've got no turntables and 3 microphones and a beer. Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia, and we are thrilled to be part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. We are back talking about music that I enjoy.
What, Bowie? Oh, yeah, totally. Compared to what we were doing with
After
Rush.
the Rush episode.
Yeah. It was a pleasure to sit down and listen to all this Bowie music.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing the research for this one a lot more than I enjoyed doing the research 2 weeks ago.
Bruce, are you a big Bowie fan?
I am, man. I really love Bowie.
I know Ryan is.
Yeah, I love Bowie. I was lucky enough that I saw him
awesome.
on his reality tour. It was his last tour.
I had a chance to go, man, when I was in college when he toured with Nine Inch Nails, and I didn't go, and I regret it.
I had friends that went to that show. They said it was fantastic.
Yeah, I had another time I could have went and saw him for an anniversary of the live album he did at Tower Theater.
Yeah,
but I had to work that night, so I couldn't go.
I remember he played the Factory too, like in the early thousands,
like
small
late 90s.
venues.
He was doing all that. Like, it wasn't goth. It was like like Nine Inch Nails. I'm Afraid of Americans.
Yeah,
what a great song.
Yeah, man. So, and we decided tonight, but we're not just going to kind of run through his whole. His life. We're going to look at the characters that he played on stage, which is kind of an interesting way to look at it. So, he had different, he was really into theater. Yeah. And you think about it, man, like no other musician at the time was doing this.
No,
I mean,
he was
you've
so
got it
theatrical.
now.
He was so theatrical
right.
through his whole career.
Right.
He kept on topping himself.
Yeah. Well, that's part of his gig. You know what I mean? That's like his thing. He always metamorphosed into something else. His music changed also with a lot of it, but his presence also.
Rock and roll reinvention constantly, man. It was like,
he kind of invented it. Like, you know what I mean? He pushed it. He pushed it. Of course, the Beatles changed themselves, but Bowie was like,
not
the
like
definition. The definition of it.
Yeah, Bowie was at the right time, right place when the whole glitter thing was happening. So he was like, right when that started getting popular, he started doing the Ziggy Stardust stuff.
Yeah, I think it started getting popular because he was doing the Ziggy Stardust. Like, he was a really big part of that, man.
Yeah. Like, it was like really crazy. Like, I watched that Twisted Sister documentary. We're Twisted Sister, and I could not believe how much they talked about Bowie in that documentary. Like,
he was huge.
I didn't even realize it. Just for like bands like Twisted Sister, they were just like, oh, Bowie this, Bowie that. You know?
There was like a scene in there when they covered Surfing Safari, or something.
Without Bowie, man, there's no Madonna, there's no Lady Gaga, all those performance.
Yeah,
even do you think about all the musicians that are playing characters? Like I made, Marilyn Manson's character, Alice Cooper, Kiss, Screaming Jay Hawkins from our shock rock episode. Even Springsteen says he plays a character on stage. So
he plays the working man.
Yeah, like all these guys are playing a character, but nobody was doing it to the extreme that Bowie was.
Bowie was like a chameleon. Like, not only did he have like 2 different colored eyes, he really adapted to what was going on and what his music was.
Yeah.
His music was like futuristic.
Yeah.
Almost. His lyrics are like crazy. Bruce, you're a literature major. What do you think of his lyrics?
Man, his stuff was deep. You know, it's like even David Bowie is a character. That's not his real name.
Yeah,
right?
It was a Davy Jones.
Yeah,
Right?
David Jones, and he started touring as Davy Jones, and they're like, well, that's one of the monkeys. I can't do that.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a minute.
So he decided to come up with a stage name.
I wonder where we get the Bowie part from.
I read that it was like American, like the Bowie knife, like the guy at the Alamo, like just American kind of sounding name, and that's what he picked. But who the hell knows if that's legit? I mean, he also like I wrote in my notes like, you know, he was always pushing, like he didn't care about boundaries and line. The only line he cared about was the one he was snorting.
Sure.
Oh, God.
It was like,
he had a good time.
You know, it was like he pushed his music. The dude had a 50-year career, and he was relevant up until the day he died. Right? He wasn't making like shit that only people that were hardcore into him.
He was changing music as he was dying.
Yeah, he stayed relevant through his entire career, and he pushed the envelope with gender, sexuality, fashion. I mean, he was in an interracial relationship. He even pushed that boundary.
Oh yeah.
You know, just like
totally.
it's crazy.
Amon.
Yeah. She's beautiful too.
Yeah. But Bowie's like the definition of fashion, in my opinion. Like he sets trends.
He's got that song "Fashion."
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he was a British gentleman. I mean, not a gentleman. I mean, he had his demons and his dark side. You know, his first wife.
But he had that charm. He had that English charm.
Yeah, he was a good looking dude who was very.
He kind of like acted like royalty.
He did.
He kind of was though. Like you know, besides like Mick and Keith, you know, and the John and Paul and all those guys, you know, like he's the closest thing.
Even though he turned down, like he was knighted and all that.
He turned it down.
He turned it down.
Good for him.
Yeah, he didn't want it.
Good for him.
I do have one quick. His eyes aren't different color.
Oh, okay. Really?
His one eye, the pupil is dilated.
Oh,
more.
right.
He got punched in the face when he was a kid. Oh. So it made him look like his eyes are different
never
colors.
heard that.
There you go.
Oh, it works for him.
We've been doing this for 5 minutes and you already learned something.
You're the professor. I love it.
So, I've got some really cool stuff on like the business side too, that he like different shit that he was the first artist to ever, release a digital single.
Totally.
Oh yeah, didn't we talk? We talked about that one time, didn't we?
Yeah, he totally had his own pace site before
Like,
anything. you could download his songs.
Yeah.
Before there was an Apple, before there was anything.
You had like you could get like a davidbowie.com email address from him like before when AOL was a thing. It was like a Bowie.
Even with like a CD-ROM, when the CDs came out, and he would always have like a CD-ROM. He was ahead. He was at the future of what was going on.
Let me all right, I'll bring this up real quick, man, before we dive into it. So I thought this was really interesting. He had a thing called Bowie bonds. Do you hear about this?
Was it Bitcoin?
No, it was before Bitcoin, but in like the late 90s, man, he didn't own the rights to all his back catalog. So he sold bonds, and they were backed by future royalties on, hang on, I had it in my notes. I was on like Investopedia last night reading shit about Bowie bonds. All right. So in 97, he sold these asset-backed securities, and he raised $55 million, and the bonds were based off of his future royalties and touring for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
He raised $55 million and he used it to buy his back catalog. He bought
that's
25.
That's brilliant.
Nobody had ever done that. And then it was like also like the people that invested the money didn't get anything because it was like right when the CD market went in the toilet. They said like at the time he was still selling about 1 million CDs a year just out of his back catalog and you know, like stuff.
Totally.
And then when streaming took over, the bottom. Yeah, it was like
that
the
sucks, man.
So the investors didn't get their money back. But Bowie, it was like, man, nobody did. I think other artists have tried to do that. But
to have that as paperwork, though, as memorabilia.
Like the certificate.
Oh, yeah, right.
The certificate.
Like
That'd
the
be
people
cool
that
just
have
to
like,
have it.
yeah, people have like one
Man,
share
if
of
you would
like
have came up
Disney
with
or something.
if you would have came with that idea like 10 years earlier, like that would have been, that's genius.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think some other artists have tried doing it since, and it's never taken off.
I said like something not too long ago about like the future of music and how bands will make money. Like, you know, we will sell pieces of our royalties of songs. So, you know, like kind of like Bitcoin or the art bullshit thing and everything like that.
You own like stock in there.
Yeah, put stock in there, and then you know, pennies on the dollar kind of thing. But you
put
own
stock.
a piece of the song.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, oh, put stock in this crappy album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we focus on the characters, we're probably going to skip some parts of his career, and that's okay, man. We could do. I mean,
there's so much to talk
probably
about,
a podcast about David Bowie.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
I just want, comic book guy not getting pissed off.
Yeah.
Or, Bowie has that same crowd as Kate Bush fans.
Yeah.
We just try not to.
But, he definitely inspired her. there's a whole bunch of artists that he inspired.
Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I found some of his really early shit before he broke. And let me just play. It's not even
Is it
on
saxophone?
It's not even on Spotify.
It sounds like Bowie.
Yeah.
It's really bad. He grabbed me tights.
What is that called?
When Bowie was a lad, when he was still Davy Jones, he was like ahead of the English Hair Club for Men. And he had like long
That
hair.
mod hair.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm tired of getting picked on about my hair, so I got a club together with long hairs.
Yeah, you seen it? There's an interview out there of him, like really young.
Say I look like I'm a girl.
television. Yeah,
Look
He's
like a girl.
Yeah, that song was from
Yeah.
66, and it's from The Forgotten Songs of David Robert Jones.
Thank God we forgot about
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, it was in a documentary I watched. I was like, whoa, this is terrible. But, he kind of really struggled, man, to find his groove.
His identity.
Yeah. So he kind of, he put out a couple albums, but then, the first thing that kind of brought him to the forefront and made him popular was Space Oddity.
Great song.
So I guess for the first character we're going to talk about is Major Tom, and that's not like a persona like Ziggy Stardust and some other stuff we're going to talk about, but it's a great place to start because it's early in his career. And he sings about it in we found references in 4 songs.
Yeah,
So
we think that Major Tom is a continued character through a bunch of songs. That,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Bruce been talking about it.
yeah, so we'll walk you through all that. So the first one, obviously is Space Oddity, and Space Oddity kind of, everybody knows it, ground control to Major Tom, but it also becomes it became a big hit, man, because it came out when it came out. It came out in '69.
Yeah,
right.
They used it for the moon landing.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
in Britain, then when they were showing it.
Oh, that's amazing. Can we hear some of it?
yeah, man. Here you go.
This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control.
Okay, this is a thought that I've had and maybe had a conversation in the bar about. How about if Major Tom was heroin?
Maybe you're blasting off.
You know?
It's not crazy to think.
Yeah. Like, we're going to talk about the song Ashes to Ashes. And if you listen to the lyrics, he says, I'm not quite clearly of what exactly he says. He says, ashes to ashes, whatever. Major Tom was a junkie.
Yeah,
Oh, how about that?
We could play a little bit of it.
yeah. I have a quote from Bowie too. He's like, as the moon landing was going on, he was kind of like, he gets stuck in space, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
So he said, it wasn't a pleasant thing to juxtapose a moon landing. Of course, I was overjoyed that they did. Obviously, some BBC official said, oh, all right, then, that space song, Major Tom, blah, 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 that's great. He gets stranded in space, sir. Nobody had the heart to tell the producer from the BBC that.
Well, nobody's looking, I think, too deep
People
into
are just
that.
listening to
Yeah.
maybe the first 45 seconds of
Yeah.
the song.
Yeah, right. It's got space, much like Born in USA. It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like Reagan wanting to use it
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
But it's really great. We talk about it all the time. So we were just listening to that. I never listened to it on headphones. Like, that must have been the mono version. Was it?
It's the 2015 remaster.
Because I never, if everybody's out there listening to it on their headphones, like you hear like
No, it's a totally experience. It's a
I think
different
everything.
experience. I think anything you listen to on a headset will make it a different experience
Yeah.
these days.
That was
because music is so out there. Like like with your earpods, the earpods only do so much.
Yeah.
If you put a headset on, that makes the day.
But it's a major, like
It's a different experience. It's
man.
a whole
crazy
different experience.
difference. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can we play a little of Ashes to Ashes?
Yeah, so like one more thing on Bowie, like we said, he's not a character, but he is like Bowie is Major Tom in the music video too, or it's like it wasn't a music video, whatever, short film at that time. Music videos weren't a thing yet, but yeah, in the video, so Ashes to Ashes is the second song, and that's a fucking weird video, man.
This video scared the shit out of me as a kid.
That is it's still one of the most expensive videos ever made.
Yeah.
It cost him
Yeah.
£250,000 to make. It's
Wow,
crazy.
and it looks like crap.
Yeah, it's
We think
really
of the times, though,
Yeah, it was really futuristic for the times.
Yeah,
But
and he's in a clown costume.
a little bit like the opera clown, like Pavarotti would dress up as the clown of like, you know, the tragedy of the sad clown.
It's a clown that's been around since the 16th century. He's wearing the outfit on the cover of Scary Monsters.
Right.
He's in the. I think he wore that a couple times, and he was really into like theater, and I think his real early shit. Like he went on tour with like a mime kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
I
he
can
was
see
like
that.
was always like really
Like
part
look
of
at the
his
cover of Heroes,
Yeah.
like the expression that he has,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with just his hands.
Yeah, here's a little bit of Ashes to Ashes, and there we'll play the part where it references Major Tom.
Ashes to ash and funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting at all.
You know, that's why with, you know, the ending lyrics, if you're still listening with us, you know, he says Major Tom was a junkie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's still floating around out there. You know, that's why I said, okay, well, maybe
It's not a bad analogy.
Major Tom is like heroin.
I kind of like that a little bit better.
Or Major Tom is always on heroin, like Bowie's set of being on drugs all through the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was self-reflecting like himself, maybe a little bit. But his character continues with Major Tom.
I don't like that song at all. Man.
I
It's
didn't
too
mind-
much.
I
It's
love it.
too.
When
That's
was that
one of
song-
my favorite Bowie songs.
When was that song released?
Was that Scary Monsters?
I think so. Yeah.
So what year is that? Is it in the 80s or the
1980. It's
Yeah,
all-
you
it's
could
all
hear
Scary
the
Monsters.
quality.
It was futuristic, man.
You know,
Yeah.
just the
you
quality.
could, you could hear how like Depeche Mode,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
even
yeah,
you know,
sure.
totally like futuristic Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
you know?
I just I'll ask you guys at the end which era of David Bowie is your favorite. I have mine, and that's just not my bag.
But with that recording, man, that's very like kind of like it sounded like something like a recording Queen would have made. Like the quality.
That
of,
was totally like
Yeah.
they
You know what I
used.
mean?
They were. He was another guy that used the studio as an
Yeah.
instrument.
But just the quality of music that Queen made, I heard it in that song.
Bowie
the way they
definitely-
record. Yeah.
he made so good quality music, man.
So then Major Tom makes two more appearances, and the next one is in Hello Space Boy, which was on the 95 album, the real industrial one. Oh, Outside. Dude, I love this album. The real industrial one. You had the album cut on here. There's a remix with the Pet Shop Boys.
Okay.
That actually quotes Space Oddity. The dude from the Pet Shop Boys is actually singing the refrain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll play that.
Oh, cool.
This chaos is killing me. Hello, Space Boy. Ground to Major, bye-bye, Tom. This chaos is death is suckered, countdown from...
It's
No, I love that song.
it's yeah.
Not my
The-
thing.
You know, the song itself goes into it. You know, he's talking about drugs.
Yeah.
To it.
Yeah.
And again, with like Spaceman.
Yeah.
He's saying bye bye love. Mm-hmm. And it's like how the drugs just like fucked up everything in his life.
Yeah. And
know?
that was the era with like all those dance remixes of songs
Yeah,
are coming
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And Pet Shop Boys remixes. Of
The
everything.
original version is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the original version.
All right. How about we'll just play a little bit of that?
Okay. It's still like.
Space boy, you're sleeping now. Your silhouette is so stationary. You're released, but your custody calls. And I wanna be free.
Compare that to like Ground Control to Major Tom. Just like
okay.
musically,
Oh, my
how
God.
different it
Yeah.
is. Like, you know, that's
It's like it's a
Right.
whole other world after, you know, like this Ground Control was, you said, 69.
yeah. And this
now
is
this
all
is
like
a-
the height of like industrial music.
yeah.
9 Inch Nails. I mean, he did all kinds of shit with
Yeah.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
And, he went on tour with Trent Reznor. Trent Reznor's
Yeah.
on a couple of these
Yeah.
songs.
Is this the album that like the I Hate the American song?
That's the next one after this.
Oh,
but-
they made a couple albums together.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
wow,
next
how about
one.
that?
The next one. I mean, Trent Reznor's in the video of that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I
he's running
watched
after
it.
him.
Yeah, chasing him.
Like he's all paranoid and he's
Yeah.
like chasing him.
Yeah. And then and then Major Tom makes one more appearance, but he's in the video. And that's the video for Blackstar. So Blackstar was the album that he came out with 2 days before he died.
Really?
Yeah,
I was
so-
aware of the album, but I didn't know there was a reference to Major Tom.
Well, it's the lyrics are a little there about being clean, but the video, you have to see the video. Me and Bruce been looking at the video all week, and we have to post it on our webpage.
Yeah, so at the beginning of it, there's like this funky, weird like alien, and she finds an astronaut who's dead, and she pulls the helmet off, and there's a skull, and she takes the skull, and the video is about the skull. But the producer or the director of the video said like that's 100% that's Major Tom.
So
He's
that
dead.
was released before his death?
I think it came out
Couple days?
after.
Yeah,
a couple days.
I think
Well,
the,
the
I think the
album
video
came
for
out.
the album came out 2 days before he died.
Well, obviously, he made the video before he died.
Yeah,
Right, so
obviously,
it
yeah.
was
Right.
totally
Video-
probably both at the same time.
That's
Right.
dude, that's like mind blowing. You
Yeah.
know, he ends his life. He knows he's dying, and he's like, this is going to be his last video he's ever made. So there's a Major Tom reference in it. You know how?
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe he is Major Tom. They like the chasing the heroin and this and that.
Well, you should have seen how like they took Major Tom's head off with the astronaut, and they like fucking celebrate it.
they worship it.
They were
really?
like remember
Like in
what's
Rush?
happening?
Like
what's happening? Like the head of lettuce.
Fred?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
it was.
Ralph.
Ralph, the head of lettuce. That they would worship the head in this
Yeah.
video, Major Tom's head.
That's not too crazy
Yeah.
to think, I guess.
I mean, so and we're jumping ahead, man, like
Yeah.
chronologically. But I mean, yeah. So this album, like Bowie made all the musicians had to sign like non-disclosure agreements. They couldn't talk. Like
Yeah.
he recorded it in secret. His last 2 albums, he didn't like. It was just like, pow, here's the new David Bowie album. He didn't. It was like, I'm going to make it on my terms. I don't want any pressure.
Right.
And there
It's on
was
his
no
terms, yeah.
there was no announcement ahead of time. And this one came out and then he died 2 days later. But
Yeah,
he
I
knew,
remember that, yeah.
he knew he was dying
Yeah.
because a lot of these songs, like the song Blackstar has a reference about like, you know, when I go to heaven, there'll be another Blackstar who will take over for being the musician or whatever.
I don't know. I think he's going to live forever.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
absolutely.
Like
Sure.
his music,
Yeah,
he's the
absolutely.
Blackstar.
Bowie, yeah.
He's like that star.
Yeah, I agree. Let me play a little bit of Blackstar. It's a long song.
It's
like
out there, man.
It's trippy, and the video is creepy as shit. But
It's sad, man.
I'll skip ahead to the interesting part.
There's an angel fall. How many people lie instead of talking tall? He trod on sacred ground. He cried loud into the crowd. I'm a black star. I'm a black star. I'm not against you. I can't answer why. Just go with me. I'ma take you home.
Crazy.
So as we normally play this on Spotify, but we put the video on and we were just watching it. Dude, I love this album so much.
Dude.
But that is also like, I don't know if I want to watch it with all the lights out. Like, it's
No,
a-
man. I was like, man, I felt like I was on drugs watching that.
Yeah, it was really trippy.
But dude, I wonder if people lost their minds when they first saw that with
I did.
Major Tom.
I did. I was like, holy shit.
That's
look,
like
this is-
brilliant.
yeah.
Like good for like it's poetic. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, man.
It's great. But the video, it's
I
scary
think,
as shit.
I think the song itself is pretty.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
At the
totally.
beginning's a little, it's almost like 2 songs
Like,
put together.
yeah.
The
Like
second
that-
half,
The
when you get-
chanting in the beginning's kind of weird, but then like he comes in between the melody, and it's really, really pretty. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the clip we were just playing too, he has that real he's singing in a higher octave.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
try. And then he goes into like that classic Bowie, like a deeper, very Bowie
I'm
sounding.
not a film star.
Yeah, but he goes like, yeah. And he's really animated in the video. It's really worth checking out. Any one of his videos, man, were like visual
Oh, sure.
thing. Like
I think he's more of a
combined-
visual star. Like the music that he made, like the electronic and all that. That's fine and everything like that. You kind of put it on, but with a lot of his stuff, I always thought that he was more of a visual artist. He was more of a like a theatrical artist, like
sure.
we were saying. You know, that's
Sure.
part of his gig.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's great about all his characters in his
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, man. So that's
Major Tom.
That's Major Tom. Let's roll on. So the first character that he became, and probably his most famous, was 72, 73, and that was Ziggy Stardust.
Right.
So and maybe it's also important to notice after between Space Oddity and then this 69 and this, he didn't really have any other hits. Like people kind of regarded like Space Oddity was kind of like a novelty song, and he
Sure.
was kind of like a one-hit wonder up
Yeah.
until
Yeah, he was
he
a
invented
gimmick.
Ziggy
He was a
Stardust.
gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to get his shit together. It was
Could have been.
like trying to figure himself out. Like, how is he going to come back out? And, you know, I got to change shit.
But he was always rolling with the right people, like in the right crowds, and I think he listened to the right people.
Yeah, he was hip. He was hip.
like his peers, you know, and he moved along with the times. Like he was maybe a step ahead of it.
Yeah.
And Ziggy Stardust, I mean, that's probably his most favorite character.
It's my favorite album.
Yeah.
Is it?
It is, especially Rock and Roll Suicide.
Yeah,
That's your
great
favorite.
song.
So that's your
my
favorite Bowie.
That's
era?
my favorite Bowie song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just my favorite era. Totally.
Yeah, I have to agree with
Yeah.
that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I prefer like the Thin White Duke. I like the soul.
No, I
I
like
like the
Low.
Plastic Soul stuff a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll
but
talk
that's,
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could we play Ziggy?
Yeah, dude. Let's get some Ziggy Stardust.
Now Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with Weird and Gilly and the Spiders from Mars. He played it left hand, but made it too far. Became the special man, then we were Ziggy's band.
You know, I always like growing up. I heard the urban legend that he was talking about Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
Like,
like God
who he
given
played-
ass and all that.
Yeah,
You know.
like he said, played left-handed.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never heard. What,
Yeah,
What is
really?
this? No, I don't know this.
I always was under the impression that's
Yeah.
who Ziggy was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. You know, Jimmy was out of this world.
Yeah.
You know, so to
So
speak.
when Ziggy dies, was Hendrix dead? When did Hendrix die?
In 70-something, 71, 70.
So
Because he says you take it too far. He took it too far.
Hendrix died in 1970. So and Ziggy's 72, 73.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So like when Ziggy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like part of
no.
it's supposed to be Jimi
I thought-
Hendrix.
Shit, now look at that. I learned something.
Dude,
there.
I thought that was like scripture. I thought that's what it was about. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I always-
that
that's
amazes
what-
me. You never heard that.
I
I have
always
no
thought
idea.
that.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, every time I listen to the song, I always picture Jimi Hendrix.
No shit. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back and listen to it. Do you like songs that tell stories? Because
Yes.
I know like you're really into concept
Yeah.
album, and this is like a concept, like a song.
I'm about good songs. And I do enjoy a good concept in a good song.
So Ziggy was supposed to be like a bisexual, androgynous alien rock star who comes to Earth and tells everybody that we only have 5 years to live because we're running out of natural resources and the world is going to end. And then everyone on the planet starts worshiping him as a messiah, and they kill him on stage.
Yeah.
He's kind of a caricature of how rock stars are worshipped. And I looked at some notes, and Bowie said it was Lou Reed, Iggy Pop, kind of put together. He said Iggy Pop combined with the music of Lou Reed, who looked like he was from outer space.
Totally.
Yeah.
He was from outer space, man.
And I saw that this was pretty interesting. It was he talked about a guy named Gene Vincent. And Gene Vincent was like an early, like rockabilly, really early rock and roll kind of guy. And he was in a car accident, and he had a brace on his leg. So when he stood at the microphone, he had to have his legs really, really wide and kind of lean over. So Bowie said he got it from that. And I was like, I read the interview and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know what that is. Let me look up a picture. And I was like, holy shit, that's every picture of Elvis. With like real wide.
like
with that. And I was like,
holding-
When you
so they
when you
got
said
it
that,
from-
that's what I thought of.
So they got it from some dude who was wearing a leg brace. And it
Okay,
became
how
like,
about
I was
that?
like,
How he standed.
yeah, I was like, all right, man, that has no relevancy to Ziggy Stardust, but I thought that was
That's
really
kinda cool.
interesting.
That's great.
As the character, if you see him in the videos, and there's the Ziggy Stardust movie, you know, Bowie, even later in life, Bowie has a stance to him as
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
sings.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, you know, like you
It's
said,
like,
where
I
he got
like
it
that
from.
though, because he's taking like pieces from everything that he loves, and he's making a part of him.
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Another big reason, man, that Ziggy gets really popular too is that he starts working with Mark Bolan, the guy from his guitar player winds up becoming the dude from T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal here. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of other references. Like he got Stardust from like an old like rockabilly dude. Like he just kind of pieced together all this stuff.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's not from this earth.
No, not at all. You got Ziggy Stardust, and then the next album comes out, and the album was called Aladdin Sane.
A lad insane.
Yeah. And we had Ryan and I had this whole discussion. We're like, is Aladdin Sane a character or is it just a variation of David Bowie? And I was reading all this shit. Some people say it's another character. I think those people get hung up on like the Bowie makes characters.
People get so caught up on him anyway.
In my caught up opinion, Aladdin's Sane cover is Ziggy Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, so I read some Bowie quotes where he said that it was Ziggy Goes to America, kind of like, because the lightning bolt, like when he died, everybody like went outside his house with the lightning bolt painted on like that Ziggy Stardust. I'm like, that's the cover of Aladdin Sane. I was like, I think it's the same. I think it's just an extension. I have a quote from Bowie. He said, Ziggy was meant to be clearly cut and well defined with areas for interplay, whereas Aladdin was pretty ephemeral. So I've never used the word ephemeral in a sentence before, but I knew how to pronounce it. But yeah, he said it was Ziggy Comes to America. I think it's the same kind of thing. It's not clear cut.
Yeah,
and I think people get so caught
coked out and just making up stories as it goes along.
Yeah,
it's still interesting.
The one big song that came out of that was "Driving Saturday," and that's a song that So the song, the concept is that there's a future and there's been so much radiation on Earth that people it messes with their minds and they can't remember how to have sex unless they watch dirty movies. And it reminds them, but there's references to like Mick Jagger and Twiggy and T-Rex are all kind of in the song. 70s, so yeah, we'll play a little bit of it.
Don't forget to turn on the light. Don't laugh, babe, it'll be alright. Pour me out another phone. I'll ring and see if your friends are home. Perhaps the strange ones in the dome could lend us a book we can read up alone and try to get it on like once before. When people stared in Jagger's eyes and scored like the video.
Yeah, totally like 50s doo-woppy kind of shit. So
I think that was a big influence on Bowie.
Yeah.
I think harmonies was a big thing
but
with him.
I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not the biggest Bowie fan in the world.
That's all right.
And I'm finding this very interesting. I find that people who, or some artists that like to, revisit 50s music and it's very buyable. I didn't buy that. It just sounds like Bowie trying to do it. That's just my opinion.
What? Is there a reason you're not a Bowie? It just doesn't do anything for you?
Do you not like Bowie because he's such a thing? You have to look at it like a visual thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, you've said it before. You don't like.
I don't like visuals in my music. It's just it never like. Of course, I like Ziggy and everything like that, but I just didn't buy that. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't really enjoy that at all. But that's just me. Like, I don't want to talk too much. No,
man. You're gonna get you deal with the hate mail, but I'll forward it all to you.
Yeah.
All right, here's another. Check out this influence. Here's Watch That Man.
That sounds like
that's.
Wait, you know what it sounds like?
T-Rex.
It sounds like this.
Oh,
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Right? It's fucking tumbling dice.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought about that. It would a great opener of it, Watching the Man. I think it's a great opener for an album. Mm-hmm. Watching the Man.
I did enjoy that though. I like that sound.
So then Bowie, he goes on tour in America, and then he goes back to London, 1973, and he just retires the character on stage.
Sure,
yeah, and
he's been doing it forever.
And he did it actually. It's on the we have it on the playlist. Here it is. Farewell speech. So he gets up on stage and he goes like, "Hey, this is the last show that we're ever going to do." And everyone goes batshit because they think it's Bowie saying like, "We're done," not the character. And he said it was actually, there was a business reason because RCA was like, dude, we're not financing another tour. Like, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
You got to get back in the studio and make some records. So here's the speech.
Everybody, this has been one of the greatest tours of our life. We really, I'd like to thank the band. I'd like to thank our road crew. And I'd like to thank our lighting people. Of all the shows on this tour, this particular show will remain with us the longest because not only is it the last show of the tour, but it's the last show that we'll ever do.
People just fucking kill themselves.
People went
record needle, like,
people went batshit crazy, man.
Yeah, right. Because he's like the biggest thing in England now.
Oh my god. Yeah, he was just tired of being that character.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to move on. I don't blame him. Two great records. I love Aladdin Sane, and I love Ziggy Stardust.
So then he comes back in '74 with another album, Diamond Dogs, and on that album he's a new character called Halloween Jack, and Halloween Jack has a mullet, and it's fire engine red. And he's got an eye patch.
Yes.
So it's like if
Yeah.
Ziggy was glam, he's punk.
Right.
Well, like, you know,
It's more like Ziggy and One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah, right. right. He wasn't like a character. Like, you know, he was like the Ziggy Stardust album was about Ziggy Stardust.
Sure.
This is kind of more.
They were saying that the mullet and haircut was both asexual. Like, you could be a boy or
I
you
can
could be
see
a
that.
girl and have a mullet.
Yeah.
I saw that too. He said like I had the most popular haircut in England, but it was because boys and girls could go into the theater
Yeah.
and order it.
I mean, we make fun of it now.
Yeah.
When people they have a mullet in Walmart. But, you know, Bowie had a rockin' red, you know.
Yeah.
How many times did you see that haircut?
Yeah.
On men and women.
You know, it just made me like I see so many parallels between David Bowie and Annie Lennox. Like I
sure.
love
Oh,
Annie
yeah.
Lennox. Even like
Did you ever see them do Under Pressure together?
Yeah, dude. Well, as we were playing as I was playing the YouTube video, that was like the Watch Next, and she
Yeah.
has like the eye makeup, like
Yeah.
the band across her
Amazing.
face.
That was from
that's
the
same.
Queen thing, wasn't it? The
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury thing.
I think so.
The
Yeah,
AIDS concert for
Yeah.
Freddie.
yeah. You could totally see the parallels between her.
Oh,
and
sure.
David
Oh,
Bowie.
she's- yeah.
I guess we'll talk about her in the Hall of
she's
Fame
theatrical too. Yeah.
episode next week. But I'm a huge. I love Annie Lennox. I'm a big fan of her.
She's way better than Kate Bush.
yeah.
Way better.
So then in Halloween Jack, I'm going to get another beer as we're talking to see if I can hold on the microphone. So he had so his band and the other couple albums, it was Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That was his band,
Right. Yeah.
And with this album, he shit cans them all.
Which
He
they
fired
were
them.
pretty well-known musicians.
Yeah.
After the tours with Bowie.
Right,
They
the one
became names themselves.
Right, the one dude goes on to become T-Rex,
Right.
and had a pretty big. Like, I think they kind of get overlooked. Like they were bigger than they're more important than you.
Than you think
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah.
But I understand him doing it. It's just moving on. Okay, well,
Sure.
I'm going to change I'm changing everything around.
Sure.
You know, I totally understand. Especially, sitting here learning a lot as I'm sitting here. You know, the kind of person that he is and like how much of a chameleon he is. That totally makes absolute sense to me.
So the Diamond Dogs album, man, this was really cool. So Bowie wanted to make a concept album out of the book 1984.
Okay.
And George Orwell's wife was like, no, dude, you can't. No, not going to be allowed. So then he was like, all right, I'm going to make a musical about Ziggy Stardust. And that didn't get off. But so then this album has a lot of themes. There is a song on here, 1980, called 1984, that is kind of references to it, but also a lot of the songs are inspired by William Burroughs, the other crazy beatnik, like a lot of like Nine Inch Nails are really into him and shit like that. He read some songs on the Spawn soundtrack. Remember that?
That was garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's on that. He's like just drug addict, poet, crazy motherfucker fat of the 50s.
Sure.
But there is a song on there called 1984. And then the big song that comes out of this album was Rebel Rebel, which we played before when we came out of the intro, but we should probably play a little bit more of it and give it its due.
Skip, like, I love that song.
Yeah,
man.
I
It's
really
like
do like that song a
It's a
lot.
punk
Yeah.
rock song, man.
That's a great song.
Man, that opening I mean, that riff is like
that's classic.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of 1984. Listen to this. I won't play the song that it sounds like. It sounds like the fucking theme from Shaft.
Let's hear it. Sounds like Twilight Zone.
Someday they won't let you. Now you must agree. The times they are a-telling and the changing isn't free. You've read it in the tea leaves and the cracks are on TV.
All right, it's just it's
I
cool.
like
it's
it.
a
It's
different song,
disco-y.
yeah.
What year was that?
That was on 74.
So
the
it was
Diamond Dogs
before
album.
disco, you know. People were still like glittering. People were
strings and
glittering.
everything.
Yeah.
Glitter was happening. You know.
So after that, after Halloween Jack, and Halloween Jack wasn't a
No, it was a
wasn't
very popular.
character.
But
There's
you
no
see,
there's no story to him.
I
right
never
now.
knew he had a name. All these years, I seen pictures with Bowie on an eye patch, and I was like, "Oh, he's just going through one of his things." But I never knew he was Halloween Jack.
I thought it was like another rendition of Ziggy.
That's what I thought it was. Ziggy with like an eye patch.
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah.
I my notes say that there's a reference to Halloween Jack in two songs. That it's in the Diamond Dog song and the song Future Legends. That there's a reference to it. I didn't read the lyrics. I might be wrong, but like
No, I read it. I did.
the next character that comes out is a really big one. But if we jump from that to the next character is the Thin White Duke in 75. But if we jump over that, we are going to skip the Young Americans album, which has two fucking great songs on it, man. Which is Fame and Young Americans. So this is when Bowie then pivots and goes like in that. It's called Plastic Soul, which I think is supposed to be derogatory. I forget who came up with the term Plastic Soul. It was I think it's an insult.
I agree with it. Like it, yeah.
But I believe Young Americans was made in Philadelphia, right?
I think so. So
It's Stigma Sound.
Plastic Soul was directed towards the Beatles, like when they were coming out. But yeah, dude. So Bowie starts coming after that Philadelphia Soul sound, which is we have to do a show on the Philadelphia Soul sound.
Yeah.
It's also like not a. I think you got to be a music nerd to really kind of know what it is.
about
But it's one of those like if you hear it, you're like, all right, I know it.
Yeah, the Philly sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Philadelphia had a really popular record label, and it was called The Sound of Philadelphia.
Yeah. That was Gamble and Huff?
I'm not sure
theirs?
exactly
The two guys?
who the
Okay.
owners were.
But-
Two Philly guys, I'm sure.
But yeah, so Bowie comes out with a couple of these songs, man, are just, I mean, it's so different. Again, like you just go back
Different
and you
than
compare
everything
it to
that he was
everything.
doing. Like, play Young Americans.
Young
see
Americans.
how fresh that is.
Yeah, dude, I love Young Americans.
We pulled in just behind the bridge. He lays her down. He frowns. Gee, my life's a funny thing. Am I still too young? He kissed the and there. She took his ring, took his babies. It took him minutes, took her nowhere. Heaven knows he'd have taken anything. All night. She was a young American.
Yeah, that album and song was made in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah, it was made at a recording studio called Sigma Sound. Sigma Sound. It was a pretty famous thing, but it was famous for Bowie making that record there.
Really?
If you don't know, in the background, right, that's Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until you just told the story in the break.
Yeah, and Plastic Soul, man, I used it. I said it was against the Beatles. It was actually African American artists used it to describe Jagger. And
That's
then
hilarious.
The Beatles came out with Rubber
Soul,
Soul,
right.
based off of Plastic Soul. And I've always called it Blue Eyed Soul, like white
Sure.
people singing soul music.
But the saxophone on it, that's Bowie playing the saxophone, right?
It could be.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't know.
I don't know. I'm pretty
I
sure
think
it is.
I read that he studied sax.
Yeah, that's what he did.
He always had a sax in his hand in his videos and shit.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's him playing sax. I'm pretty sure it is.
All right.
Maybe who knows?
I read some book I was reading about like when that rock and roll split off from R&B music.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of that was like that soul dropped out of rock and roll was when the saxophone disappeared out of rock. Like a
every
lot of
song-
early
Early rock, yeah.
Every rock and roll song had a saxophone
Yeah, in the
player.
50s, yeah.
I'm reading
in
that.
the 70s, like, you know, the Rolling Stones had their saxophone player.
Yeah.
You know, and he was just as important. I mean, Bobby Keys
sure.
he was just as important in the band as Keith was.
Sure.
To carry the band through the gig.
Sure.
But that's like, you know, that's the Stones. I agree with you. But I do feel from like 74 up until 84, I think musicians overused the saxophone. It never had the same effect that it did back in the 50s. It's kind of one of the reasons why I do not like the saxophone. It's not an instrument that I like even a little bit.
Yeah,
I love Clarence.
No,
baby.
I love Clarence.
I love
Yeah,
Clarence.
but I love the 50s saxophone. But everything from like the 80s
Yeah,
and like
Springsteen's
it's,
like-
it's completely different.
He's a whole other thing.
And with
But
Bobby Keys and all that, right on, you know.
But I think the guitar solo took over the saxophone solo.
Yeah.
Technology kind of took over.
I mean, the 80s, the music got so thin sounding too.
Yeah, I'm
that
not a
the
fan.
sax is kind of like
But they used a lot of sax.
What was that stupid thing Courtney Love said at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction? It was like
everything from thank you to good night.
Yeah,
Like,
but she's like, who gives a shit about saxophone and rock and roll? What the hell does that have to do? What she was talking about the East Street Band.
well, you just found somebody we can throw in the electric chair.
No,
tonight.
the shitbag of the week.
Yeah, well, wait.
Hang on.
Hang on.
Didn't we already make her shitbag week like 3
who
times
cares?
already?
Who cares?
Shitbag of the week.
Dun, dun, dun. She killed Kurt.
Yeah.
We talked about that too. All right, so the Thin White Duke, man, 75,
I
76.
love these albums.
This was the last character that he brought out on stage.
These
that he,
albums
played.
are great, man. Low
Yeah.
is a great album.
Yeah, I this is my favorite. I like the soulful Bowie the most. But so Bowie started the Young Americans Tour 75. He started bringing him out, and he looks a lot like the dude that he played in A Man Who Fell to Earth. So, you know, and Bowie was an actor too.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about some of the shit maybe at the end. But the Thin White. So, Doug, you talked about this on one of the episodes. I think it was the Shock Rock, where you're like, when you can't separate the artist from the character.
Yeah.
This is a classic example of that, because he was like, "Oh, well, the Thin White Duke is a drug addict."
Yeah.
No, he was a drug
yeah,
addict.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
He looked like cocaine.
He did.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. As soon as you said the Thin White Duke, I'm like, oh, yeah.
But that's what they called his,
But he was like a mess, though, you know.
but that's what they called his Berlin years, because he moved to Berlin to get off of drugs.
Yeah.
And that's when he started becoming more of his rock, when he was hanging out with Brian Eno.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and he was making rock and albums.
Yeah, so Bowie, and we'll talk about that in a second when he goes to Germany. But so he was living in LA, and he said he did a quote astronomical amount of cocaine, and they said that he was living off of red peppers, milk, and drugs. They said that was his diet. And I read that in like 10 places, and they said that Bowie became obsessed with like the occult and Aleister Crowley and Nietzsche and all this shit. So like this character becomes obsessed with it. He wore all black because he looks very British, right? He's wearing a 3-piece suit, or without the jacket, but he's got the vest and the pants, and he's got the little the pocket watch chain.
Yes,
and
He's a gentleman.
Yeah, he's right. He's a socialite like we are.
Yes.
But also, my next thing on my note, I have a header, and my note just says, said dumb shit. So,
well, when you're coked out of your mind 24/7.
Right. So this is where it gets really complicated in that, like, where do you separate the dude? So there's 2 things that he said that were really fucking stupid. Well, there's a interview and a picture. So the picture is he's in a convertible, and the crowd's waving at him, and he waves and he puts his hand up.
I was going to ask
whether he was giving the Nazi salute or he had his hand out, and that just when the camera went off, that then became the photo that went everywhere.
But I thought there was a picture of him actually dressed like a Nazi.
There could be. I don't know.
Like
I
him
don't know.
because I think he was like studying.
He looked like
Yeah,
one.
but he was like studying for like a part or something like that. But I thought there was a picture out there of him dressed like a
He
Nazi
looked
getting
like
off
one.
a train or something like that. Like
He
somewhere.
looked-
Yeah.
Like that whole look of him
Yeah.
being the White Duke looked
Yeah.
like he was being a Nazi,
So
Yeah.
he said, and
a
then
coked up Nazi.
Yeah.
And then the dumb shit. So he goes, I actually have the quote. So I have 2 stupid shit that he said. One was, he said, Britain is ready for a fascist leader. I think Britain could benefit from a fascist leader. After all, fascism is just nationalism. I believe very strongly in fascism. People have always responded with greater efficiency under a regimental leadership. And then he gave an interview on Playboy. And he goes, Hitler is one of the greatest rock stars. Or Hitler is one of the first rock stars. Playboy guy, how so? Think about it. Look at some of the films and how he moved. He's not quite as good as Jagger. I think he was quite as good as Jagger. It's astounding. And boy, when he hit the stage, he worked an audience. Good God. He was no politician. He was a media artist. He used politics and theatrics and created this thing that governed and controlled the show for 12 years. To me, that's the rock and roll experience. I just abbreviated a bunch of that.
That's great.
But
Do you think that he was like playing a character, or do you think that he was just messed up on drugs? Like he had like separating
I don't
the
know.
art from the
I think
real person.
I think the drugs just mess with your mind
Yeah.
so bad.
right. So
I
he
could have swore I did read one time that he was just playing a character. Like
He's-
this was just like one of his characters.
That's
is
what
what
he
he
says.
said.
That's
Yeah.
what he says.
But it's also when he took a bunch of shit. He's like,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
it's this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he said he gave, he's like, I gave interviews and characters, and he was like, he was a nasty bastard or something.
Yeah.
Like he was a nasty character indeed or something. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, man. And I read like some of the nerds were saying that he wore all black and white because he was trying to draw contrast, that he was singing black music, so everything was black and white. I was like, I don't know, man.
There's
That
the
seems like a
70s
stretch.
too, man. Like
Yeah.
you know, he was hanging in the studio. 54
He also
and
was
told him it
so
good.
he was also so bombed that the album Station to Station, he said he doesn't fucking remember recording the album at all. Which
not
is like
that great of
you
an
didn't do it in an hour, right?
Oh,
You
sure,
did it over a stretch, and
Yeah.
he doesn't remember any of it.
But when he started becoming this white duke, he came out with an awesome album. And it was Heroes.
Yeah,
Can we
dude.
play Heroes song?
Yeah, man.
I will be king, and you will be queen. Though nothing will drive them away, we can beat them just for one day.
That's my favorite Bowie
That's
song.
one of
Yeah,
my
I love that
favorites.
song.
too.
You
I
ever
do
see
like
him at Live Aid? He does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's
It's
amazing.
great.
Yeah, dude, that's one of my
Heroes is a
favorite.
great album.
It's one of my favorite Bowie albums.
Yeah.
Like I said, this era is my favorite Bowie
Yeah.
era.
We didn't do anything off of Low, but Low's a great album. It's the one before Heroes. And there's a song called Breaking Glass.
Oh yeah, all right. You know what? Before all right. So Bowie comes out like Thin White Duke, and then he comes out with his couple albums, and then he bugs out. He leaves L.A. Right, so he's like, because I'm a drug addict, and I got to get that. It's going to kill me. And so he goes to Berlin, and he moves to Germany, and he kind of hooks up with Iggy Pop.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, was this the Iggy Pop trip?
Yeah, and then he comes
Iggy
out.
Pop and Brian Eno.
And Brian Eno. And he puts out with 3 albums. So, we jumped a little ahead. I apologize, but they call it the Berlin trilogy. And Ryan, you were saying like we're trading notes all week. You
Oh,
were like,
yeah.
But
it's
didn't Bowie play on Iggy Pop's album also?
He produced it.
Yeah.
That first album, I believe.
The
But there's
Passenger
there's 3 albums that are with the Thin White Duke. It's Low, it's Heroes, and I can't pronounce
Lodger.
it. Yeah, Lodger.
Is that the Thin White Duke?
That's what I read on the internet.
Okay.
I thought
it was-
his Thin White Duke years up to Labyrinth.
Okay. I thought it was like he was getting away from, he was trying to escape the Thin White Duke. That's
Those
what
years were they were real experimental. There's a few instrumental songs on there that you could totally hear bands like Depeche Mode to Beck being influenced by these Bowie albums. How I think they're very raw. I don't know. Can we play one of those songs?
Yeah, dude. What do you want to hear?
I want to hear Breaking Glass.
Yeah, Breaking Glass. You got it, man.
Glass in your room again. Listen. Don't look at the carpet. I drew something awful on it. See. Such a wonderful person.
New World Order. What was the band before that?
Joy Division.
Joy Division.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
to them about them a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
it's really influential. Like, there's a lot of they're instrumental songs at the end of Low.
Yeah.
And you could totally hear it from these bands that pick up on it.
Yeah. And there was no Bowie doesn't retire the Thin White Duke like he did with Ziggy Stardust. So it kind of like some people
Just
will
goes
say,
away.
yeah, it just kind of peters out. But some people said like, yeah, dude, it kind of like carries across his Berlin trilogy and then it peters out. And
Yeah, because he got clean probably.
yeah, well, it's also like, so Doug, you mentioned like, he produces that Iggy Pop album, like I Want to Be Your Dog.
Oh, the Stooges. Yeah.
Yeah, and he produces right?
No,
Really?
he I Want to
Not
Be
I
Your
Wanna Be Your
Dog was the
Dog. No,
Stooges,
yeah, the Stooges.
thing. He produced
The Passenger.
the I'm sorry, guys out there. One of the first solo albums. I don't know. It was the first Iggy solo album, but it was one of them.
I saw a video this week of Bowie playing piano for.
He went on tour with Iggy
Yeah,
Pop in his band.
Yeah.
And you saw
That's
that
super
on
cool.
our social media
Yeah.
page.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's super
Hang
cool.
on. Yeah, he produced Wild Side by Lou Reed.
Oh,
Take a
awesome.
Walk on the Wild Side. He did that.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
And
awesome.
then he did, man, what the hell? Yeah, man. So he was like really, really influential, really creative. He said he hooked up with Brian Eno, who was like,
Yeah, Brian was
way
a big-
out there.
And Brian was like the future of music then. It was
Yeah.
before he was working with U2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Brian Eno guy, but the shit he did with Bowie was on point.
yeah.
So.
No, I'm not a big fan of Eno's music, but as a producer, look at what he did with U2.
Yeah.
Like that sound, and even these albums have that sound, that early New Year's Day U2,
That's a good point, man. And you know what? Another thing, like Brian, like some of this shit, it's like when it's artistic for artistic sake, like we're just going to be weird. Like some of that, like the Mike Patton solo shit we talked about a couple
Mr.
episodes
Bungle.
ago. Yeah, some of it's like I like Mr.
weird
Bungle,
to
but
be
some of the
weird.
other like
Yeah.
like
Sometimes I think Primus is like that. Primus just
Yeah.
be
I
It's
weird
just,
to be weird.
it's just gimmicks, man.
yeah, or
You know
like
what I mean,
Philip Glass, the classic musical guy, he's like South Park's used him a couple times. Like it's too much. But like Bowie, dude, is like Bowie's always trying to be different and weird. And again, he's always on point, man.
Sure.
Everything he does is like
I'm
think
sure
he
it's very well thought out also, though.
I think he takes the right turn when it's happening.
Yeah.
When things are changing, he's changing with it.
yeah. Another thing I thought was really interesting about Bowie, like one of the obituaries, and I read like a shit ton of them, in the last 2 weeks, and somebody was saying like he made it like it's okay to be a freak. It's okay that nobody likes you.
Yeah.
I'm like that too. And he
Sure.
was like very welcoming to, like people found an outlet in him. Like this dude gets me. And he was always an outsider.
Oh, David Bowie's fans are totally like from A to Z.
Yeah.
From like I'm sure the transgender world. Bowie's a huge influence on them.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, like, yeah, dude, like we were saying at the beginning, like, yeah, like androgyny and transgender and, look at those Ziggy Stardust. He's wearing heels and all that crazy shit. And it's like, I mean, these people are still getting crapped on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 50 years later.
Sure.
And he was ahead of the time.
Yeah, he pushed the envelope.
And more that like, like Freddie Mercury tooled around with some of that stuff and how, Lady Gaga is like a hero to a lot of like.
Lady Gaga wouldn't even exist without Bowie.
Sure. Or
No, just like she's an icon to transgender world.
yeah, or like Elton John. Like Elton John was coming up same time. I actually read somewhere that he said that like Space Oddity came out like shortly after Rocket Man, and they were like it never would have gotten any attention if Rocket Man hadn't taken off.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I know.
kinda
I
like-
think it would have.
Yeah,
It's its own
It's
thing.
a way better fucking song.
yeah.
Bowie blows Elton John away.
Yeah. There's always, you could take this off. There's always that story when they caught Bowie in bed with Jagger.
Jagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think we got one more character to talk about. And then my laptop's at 50%, so we're good. All right. So the last character of the band that we agreed to talk about, and then maybe we can go back and if there's anything that we missed.
Maybe we'll listen to some
Yeah, we'll
songs.
talk some songs. The last one was The Blind Prophet, and that's not a Bowie character. Like, he doesn't sing about him, but he's in 2 videos. And that's the dude. And if you look at the Blackstar video, that was the guy with the bandages over his
really?
eyes with the buttons.
What a crazy video.
So that was Revisit It,
So it's in 2 it's in 2 videos.
Okay.
So it's in the Blackstar video,
which is one of his last video.
which
Okay.
is what we talked about.
Yeah.
And then the last one, and then Doug, I guess you haven't seen this. So when we play the song, I'm going to fire up the YouTube video again. So the last song he came out with was the song called Lazarus, and he's playing the same character with the bandages, with the buttons. And you know what? I'm going to stop talking. I want to play a little bit of it, and then I want to hear.
I do think I've heard this song before. Lazarus.
All right.
Was
the video though? We want to see what you think
I don't know
of the
if you've
video.
heard the video, so maybe
or seen the video? Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll play a little bit of it, dude. And I want to hear your reaction because this would be kind of interesting. Here we go.
For your ass. This way or no way. You know I'll be free. Just like that bluebird. Now ain't that just like me?
He's playing that character. That video comes out like 2 days before he dies, right? So, and the song is about like I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
You know, like holy shit.
I've seen that before.
Oh, have you? Okay,
Yeah, I've
all
seen
right.
that before.
All right. So there's a thing in the video that, and I'm gonna nerd it a little bit. So there's a character that comes out of the closet, right? Like so, Bowie's laying in the bed. He's got the bandages. He's the blind prophet. There's something like trying to grab him.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's about him dying.
Yeah.
And there's a version of Bowie that comes out of the closet wearing like a black like unitard with like gray stripes across the side, and he's very animated. If you go back, I was doing all this research, and there's a video of Bowie as the Thin White Duke wearing the same outfit.
Oh, wow.
So that is the Thin White Duke that comes out of the closet.
He
And
looks like him.
so the hair is slicked back, and like Bowie in the bed, his hair is all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's real like he's animated, and he's dancing.
The way
That's-
he's standing.
the way he's standing, and he's kind of like I wrote it down like by the time I got to New York, I had used up all my money and I was looking for your ass.
Right.
Like it was like it's the Thin White Duke.
Yeah.
So it's like the drug addict is like coming out and he's kind of like taunting dying David Bowie, and then he goes back. The video ends like he goes back in the closet. I'm like, and it doesn't say it anywhere, and I was like, holy shit, man!
Holy shit,
great.
Right. That's why I'm the
great.
professor.
You
Yeah.
are the professor.
That's
That's
great.
fucking amazing.
I was
dude.
like, I put this shit together. I'm like, fuck, man, that's the Thin White. He's bringing back this character, much like he brought back Major Tom,
Right.
And the character he's going back to it.
I just love that. Like you know,
great.
again, like he's coming to the end of his life. He knows he's coming to the end of his life, and he's putting out his most I don't want to use the word famous, maybe his most loved memories of his career.
Yeah, man.
And
Dude,
I think that's brilliant.
when he died, I remember hearing that he
I'm sure-
died, and then hearing that like the video, like here's a new video, and he died.
I'm sure the fans went bananas when they seen all this.
I was
like,
talking.
You know what I mean?
I was talking to a major Bowie fan the other day, and he was mentioning all this shit to me.
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I don't even know anything about this." But
Dude, he knew he was dying, and he was like, "Here's my farewell gift."
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
like, here's an album that I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm making. Like nobody fucking knew this
Yeah,
album
it's-
was coming out.
yeah.
And it dropped, and 2 days later he died. It was like performance art, man, dude. Like what was the
absolutely.
ultimate performance art?
Sorry, yeah.
And
I
then
can only
here's the
do this
video.
one time.
Right. If I screw it up, I don't get another shot.
Yeah.
But it was like, man, it was just
It's beautiful. It
ultimate
is
theatrics.
beautiful.
He was.
Yeah.
He was amazing, David Bowie.
And I have the same reaction watching that as I do like with Hurt from Johnny Cash, like that retrospective, like you know what you're
feel
at the end.
you feel a certain way after looking at it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you feel like eerie afterwards.
It's
Like when
a-
you go to visit somebody in the hospital.
Right. It's a great album too, man. It
is a great
and listening to it in light of that he
sure.
knew he had cancer
Yeah.
and then he was dying.
If you put that into perspective, also, like, all right, let me listen to this and I'm dying,
Sure.
and like listen to it in that frame of mind.
Yeah, man, that video is like it's haunting. It's a haunting
Yeah.
video. It's really
Scary.
really cool, man. And just again that he just went out on his terms. Like he's still like death is another stage and I'm gonna kind of walk off of. And this I can't think of another artist that did anything like that.
There was a cool one last picture of Bowie that he did. It was like right before he died, and it was him in a black suit with like the Peaky Blinders hat kind of thing. Like he really enjoyed Peaky Blinders before he died. So he went out and he put
Very
the suit
British.
on English or Irish way kind of thing. And he's really thin and sick looking, but it was the last picture they ever took of him.
Oh, really cool. Yeah, we didn't talk about it too. Like he had a heart attack in like 2004. He was on stage and he had a heart attack. It was like, you can go on YouTube and you can see it. You can see the video that he was singing, and he had a heart attack, probably the mountains of cocaine and everything else that he did. Yeah, and he said he never really like kind of went on. Like, he finished that tour, and that was kind of the end of it. But and you know what? We didn't talk about this, Ryan. As we were setting up, we said the gear. Like the last character that he played between the Thin White Duke and that character, the Blind Prophet, was himself.
And that's when I seen him. And he was so happy, and he was like waving at everybody at the crowd, and he's like, "How about this song? You want to hear this song?" And he was just not a character. He was just true David Bowie, and it was amazing. It was. I usually say Prince is the best show I've ever seen. David Bowie's probably one of the better shows that I've seen.
So like he wasn't like hiding behind these characters anymore.
No,
and he was
just singing the songs.
Right, he finally felt comfortable, and he was being like a rock star.
It's like the whole, like, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about like the songs later, but that was like his 80s. Like in the 80s, he became a rock star. He got rid of like all the characters. Like he dabbled in them.
Like he did like Modern Love.
Yeah. Like he wasn't really playing characters.
He totally. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
he was playing the ultimate rock star on videos.
Yeah. Like,
you know, like
a China Girl and everything like that. He was just being
Gene.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, whether the Thin White Duke was a character who he was playing or the Thin White Duke was a facade he used as an excuse, it almost killed him. Right?
Sure,
like, he said something famous, like he blew his nose one time and a piece of his brain came out. He was like, because he did so much coke and all this other, you know, just mountains of drugs and you know, he was all he did not a lot of highway miles, man. It was all off road shit. But yeah, he finally just kind of stepped out and then became like the grandfather of like industrial music. Sure. But when he then went industrial, we were like, oh wow, here's like a legit like rock and roll guy who's like given some.
But that was like
weight
in the 90s, dude. He was like talk about Neil Young and everything like that. Like David Bowie, man. He was like the godfather of electronic or whatever you want to call it.
That's a good. Like,
he was like really like respect. I remember him always being like, "Oh, it's fucking Bowie." Like he's just respected. Like mad,
the whole goth scene.
Yeah, it's all Bowie.
Yeah, Neil Young doing the Mirror Ball album.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Right?
Yeah, Bowie, grandfather grunge.
Right.
Like, Bowie is like grandfather of like
He was like really, you know, he was the hero of like that whole musical
movement or whatever you call it.
That whole electronical Nine Inch Nails to you know, to like I even said, so like you can listen to Beck and hear sounds. From Bowie's some of the albums or Beck albums.
That's a great point, man. Because I was really into all that shit when I was in high school, and I said one of the other episodes, Nine Inch Nails was the first band shirt I ever had, and I was like, yeah, dude, and he added like legitimacy to it. It was like I wasn't really into Bowie, but I knew who he was.
Idea
and it was like, yeah, man, this dude is coming out. And I had the stupid like he had the racing stripe.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
he had the striped the spiky hair. And even like that. I'm Afraid of Americans video.
It was a great song.
He's wearing like a Chinese,
duster.
Yeah, but it's like a Chinese look. It's almost like the kind of like the Matrixy kind of shit before it became like he's got a very Matrixy kind of look, and even the music here from that album has that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean the Matrix didn't come out too long after this album.
Yeah. Did we have I'm Afraid of Americans on
Pump that
playlist?
up?
I don't know if we did.
I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans.
That's like, to me, that's every Nine Inch Nails song with Bowie singing over it.
But totally, Trent Reznor all the way.
But how stoked do you think Trent Reznor was to work with Bowie? Like,
totally.
Like, you know what I mean? He was already like a famous, like he was crazy famous. But just to work with like one of his idols, it has to be surreal.
Sure.
It has to be.
He even had him open up on the tour for him.
Yeah, Nine Inch Nails refused to play. I guess they were trying to alternate like dates when they went on tour together, and Reznor was like, "No, dude, I will not open. Bowie will not come before me. I will always go first."
Yeah,
which is the way it should be.
Yeah,
of course. Bowie.
Yeah.
You know, nobody.
It was a shame. I mean, he was so good live, especially when we sat here when he was playing himself. Like he wasn't playing a character and shit, man. He's so like heartwarming and smiled the whole time. It was great.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so we've been talking for about an hour and 25 minutes. You want to take a real quick
Yeah,
5-minute
sure.
break?
Quick
Let's
break.
talk about like
Some
just talk
songs
about
and
some
shit.
shit we want to
Yeah,
talk
man.
about, and then I have so much feedback that we got from the last couple of episodes, man.
Nice.
And so we're gonna be here for a little while, and
Nice.
then all right, man, we'll wrap it up. Stick around.
Stick around.
Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia. There's something for everyone on the beer list and the jukebox at McCusker's. It's minutes from the sports stadiums in Philly, making it a great place to stop by for a few drinks before or after a concert or a game. Come see for yourself why everyone from Philadelphia Magazine to Playboy has called it one of the best dive bars in the city. Visit them at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia or on Facebook. That's McCusker's Tavern. All right, thanks so much for sticking with us, man. So I think that's pretty much David Bowie. Is there any stuff that you guys absolutely love you want to talk about while we got a chance?
I think we like skipped over a bunch of songs I think we could play.
All right, man, let's talk about some of them. What do you got?
Let's the very popular that Nirvana covered, "The Man Who Sold the World."
Oh, yeah, dude.
I don't know a lot of people know, but you know, the Nirvana covered this song by Bowie.
The MTV Unplugged
Yeah.
album. I like the David Bowie version so much more than that, but here you go.
Although I wasn't there, he said I was his friend, which came as some surprise. I spoke into his eyes, I thought you died alone a long, long time ago. I know, not me. I never lost.
So I'm just Googling, I'm like, what year did that song come out? And the autocomplete, like it says, did David Bowie cover
Nirvana
Man
song?
Signed the
Oh,
Nirvana
no.
song? I was like, oh,
Damn you, internet!
come on, man.
Some
Unplug-
hipster
unplug
millennial
the
with
internet.
that. Yeah.
I like the Nirvana version. I love the
Yeah.
the
No,
Bowie
it's-
version
it's-
so
it-
much more.
It's so more imaginative. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they only used acoustic albums for the Nirvana thing, but you know, Bowie really knows how to use the recording studio.
Yeah, and that Bowie song came out in '70. It's like, so there's all kinds of shit going on.
That's way
It's, like,
before its
way
time.
ahead of its time,
Way
man.
before its time.
Really, really cool. All right, Ryan, you had another song, man, that you said you want to talk about too.
I really, really love the song "Changes." I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we covered that. We didn't play
we
that,
touched
did
that.
we?
No, we didn't touch
Right
it.
Oh, what
over
a
it.
great song that
All right,
is.
here we go.
Let's play that.
Got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me. But I've never caught a glimpse how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes.
I think I saw that in a Microsoft commercial.
I was going to
back
say
in
that
the
was
90s.
definitely in a commercial in the 90s.
He was,
Yeah.
like, dude, he just, everything like, the classic great pop songs,
Yeah.
too.
He
Like,
did. That's what he did. He wrote great pop
It was
songs.
like fantastic pop songs, man. And another pop song that he wrote that was really great, man, was Fame.
Yeah, he wrote "Fame" with John Lennon.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a who wouldn't know more about Fame than John Lennon?
right. And Doug, you said that
yeah, Stevie Ray plays guitar on it.
Stevie Ray
And he was
Vaughan.
unknown. He was unknown.
is on it. I never knew that, man, until we were doing the research this
Really?
week. Yeah, that he
It's,
played on
but
it.
it's really funny, you know. He was supposed to go on tour. Stevie Ray was supposed to go on tour with Bowie, but something happened. Stevie Ray wasn't in the union, so he couldn't do it. He didn't want to join the union, so
Really?
he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go out and do my own thing." Then, and it worked out for him pretty well.
Oh, here's a little bit of Fame.
Fame makes a man take things over. Fame lets him loose, hard to swallow. Fame puts you there where things are hollow. Fame.
There's a YouTube thing of David Bowie and John Lennon singing together. Let's check it out. See if
Fame?
it's-
Yeah.
Let's see if it's anything good.
Cool.
And if it sucks, we'll cut it out.
It's a video.
Yeah.
It's a video for.
Yeah, with the
I don't know.
share.
I think Lennon's playing the rhythm guitar somewhere in there.
He might be.
Totally. I don't know.
Yeah,
Why
get some
wouldn't
more-
he?
Get some more homework.
I would like to hear him sing some of the lyrics, though. That would have been
John
interesting.
Lennon? Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be great.
That you can hear it's a Lennon song.
Yeah, you listen to the
that-
words, yeah.
That era of Lennon.
He's like pissed off.
He's pissed off
Yeah.
and drunk. Yeah. You know, that's the Lennon right with fame that gets pissed off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be famous. You know, this is what fame does to you.
Right, you had another cover that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Bowie has some weird covers that he did.
One was on the Aladdin Sane
Aladdin
album,
Sane album. He covered the Stones' "Let's Spend the Night Together."
which is weird, right? Because there's always we've all heard that famous story
about-
that he got caught in
got
bed
by
with
Jagger's
Jagger,
wife.
right?
He
It's
got
like,
caught by Jagger's wife.
Yeah, them bit together.
So let's
They
put-
did that goofy song together.
Ugh.
I'm in no hurry, I can take my time. I'm going there, and my tongue's getting tired. I'm on my head, and my mouth's getting dry. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together now.
That's a rockin'.
It is
very
rockin'.
nice.
It's a little weird for me.
Bowie, yeah, definitely. Bowie put a cover album out called Pinups.
So going back to that last song, he put that song out on
Yes,
on the-
Aladdin Sane.
Aladdin
Yeah.
Sane.
Yeah.
That's funny because I'm sure he played it live, like toward the end of the shows, or everything like that. And they threw it on the album.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he made an album, a cover album called Pinups. He covered a Pink Floyd song called See Emily Play. It's really tripped out. You should play a couple seconds of it.
All right, here you go.
Emily tries but misunderstands. She's often inclined to borrow somebody's dreams till tomorrow.
It's not a Sid Barrett
Yeah.
song,
Yeah.
but it sounds
Yeah.
like a Sid Barrett
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
But that album is awful. Pinups.
I was
It's an
gonna
awful
say that was
album.
pretty bad.
I think I sounded
Yeah.
really,
I think
really British.
The best thing about
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
The best thing about it is him doing a Pink Floyd song.
Yeah, that's great.
That's killer. Let's talk about one of his most underrated songs. Is Modern Love.
Oh, I agree with that.
Modern Love. I
a great
remember
song.
the video.
I love
the
this song.
concert
Yep.
video he had with it.
It's a great
the
song.
song is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
It's a classic pop song.
Yeah.
I know when to go out. Know when to stay in. Get things done.
I catch a paper boy, but things don't really change. I'm standing in the wind, but I never wave bye-bye. But I try.
Love that song.
That's the 80s to me.
That
Yeah. Right. I go into
Yeah.
I went into the pizza place after playing Little League, and that was something on the.
Remember the video? It was a live video. He had that blonde hair. It was like a Brian Setzer
Yeah.
Yeah.
like mushroom thing on
Yeah.
the top.
That's pretty much the only thing that I like from Bowie from the 80s is that song.
Okay.
Like, it's,
It's a great song. It's a
No,
great,
no, I love
it's
it.
a great
I love
party
it.
song. and
Absolutely.
puts you in a good mood.
Yep.
I think one of his other like weird hits. It was a hit. Was Fashion. It's a weird song. It was off of Furry Animals, I believe.
Scary
Animals?
Monsters.
Scary
Yeah.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Furry Animals.
All right, here you go.
The people from bad homes who again and again. It's big and it's bland, full of tension and fear. They do it over there, but we don't do it here.
very Devo-ish.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
it was the times.
yeah.
It was the times.
I know that we're trying to beat the battery run out here, but did he work with a lot of producers, or did he produce majority of his music?
He did at the beginning, and then he kind of
just
broke
took
off
over.
and he started producing his own stuff. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. And some of the shit he did with Brian Eno and some other, but I
right.
think it was
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like
Yeah.
influential.
But majority
than-
of that stuff that he's
Yeah.
done, he produced himself.
Yeah.
But like he had this acting thing, like we talk about, like like the song. Can we play Jeannie Jean?
Yeah, dude.
The video for Jeannie Jean was totally rememberable of him being on stage dressed as a genie.
Yeah, so Bowie, man, the acting was always a thing, right? So he did like Man Who Fell to Earth, and he did a bunch of sci-fi shit. And then the Genie it was like a 20-minute short
Movie.
film.
It's a comedy.
Right. And he was playing himself, and then he was playing this like rock star, and they were both kind of like
Peter Brading it.
going for the same girl. It's really weird. It was like, and also in light of thinking about him being high as shit.
This is a movie.
It was like a 20-minute
film.
film. Yeah.
Do you remember the video for Jeannie Jean?
I'm going to say no.
Well, it was like Thriller. There was like a 15-minute story before.
Oh, really?
Before the
Yeah.
It was comical for being on cocaine.
Yeah, when
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Right, right. When I was going down like reading about like the characters, people were like, "There's another character he played." I'm like, "No, he's just high as shit."
And Bowie thought it was funny.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
yeah. He was a little bit of.
I love how it comes in.
Poor little greenie. Get back on it. Genie lives on his back. The Genie loves chimney stacks. His outrageous, he screams and he moans. But Genie, let yourself go.
Is Iggy Pop on that?
Here.
So sure as shit sounds like easy.
Well, I was going to say, dude, that kind of sounds like a mix between. I've heard the song 1,000 times, but like sitting here listening to it, it's like a Lou Reed-ish Iggy Pop kind of like tune. I think you hear Iggy's voice in the background before it goes into the next verse.
What's the song we were looking for?
Yeah, that wasn't the song that we were looking for. And I'm going back to my notes, and we have.
Dun, Blue Jean. I just met a girl named Blue Jean.
Jazzin' for Blue Jean was the other song, so we got it. Yeah, so we got it mixed
Let's get
up.
it together here.
So Jazzin' for Blue Jean was the one that had the 20-minute short film, and we'll share that on our social media. So yeah, so we made a mistake, man. So we were getting confused with all the Blue Jean shit. But David Bowie has a song called Blue Jean, and he made a short film called Jazzin' for Blue Jean. So we got denim overload. I feel like we're doing our hairband episode all over again.
I love this song. I think Doug would remember the song.
All right, let's play a little bit of that, and let's sort this mess out that we got ourselves into here.
Blue Jean, I just met a girl named Blue Jean. Blue Jean, she got a camouflage face and no money. Remember, they always let you down when you need them. Oh, Blue Jean, it's heaven and it's sweeter than Blue Jean. She got a police bike. She got turned up nose.
All right.
That's like another song that kind of reminds me of Lou Reed when he's
Yeah.
singing the verses.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Yeah.
I think he probably did like Lou Reed stuff a lot.
Well, I think
Probably
him and Lou
experimental
Reed
artist.
influenced each other
Yeah.
back and forth a
Yeah.
lot.
I never thought about that very much, like the correlation between the two of them. But
Yeah.
once I read that he produced a couple of some of his stuff, I was like, yeah, it's all over there.
It's pretty obvious. Like,
Yeah.
it's obvious.
The
Yeah, it's all over the
songwriting
place.
is all there.
Yeah.
Like, you totally hear like the influence that Lou Reed had on
Yeah.
Bowie's
Yeah,
songwriting.
But Lou Reed wasn't anywhere near as accessible.
no
right?
way,
Like,
no.
like Velvet Underground is like that's like your first level of like I'm a music nerd. The
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
you step into. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Bowie
You
probably
just-
probably liked the stuff, and he's like, "This is great," but
I
Bowie
could-
does it better.
I could do it better.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, like we don't fucking talk about Velvet Underground that
Yeah.
much,
Yeah,
right?
no,
And we're
yeah.
like,
you really got to be a nerd.
Yeah.
yeah. I would love to do an episode on Velvet Underground.
I don't
but
think
it's-
I
nobody
guess
would
so.
listen to
Nobody
it.
would- No, I mean, if Rush Sucks had a lot of listeners,
That's more controversial than.
Let's do one more song.
All right.
Let's get China Girl. What a great song.
Yeah, dude. Here we go.
This feeling with my China girl. I feel a wreck without my little China girl. I hear her heart beating loud as thunder. Softly stars crashing.
That song was co-written by Nile Rodgers of Chick.
Yeah. What the hell band? Right? Is it Chic?
Chic, that's it. Freak
Chick,
out.
Chic.
Yeah.
Freak out.
Yeah. We trashed them pretty hard on our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame episode, and we got some comic book guys blow back.
Niles
on us.
Rodgers is a great musician,
Yeah.
songwriter, every producer,
And he
everything.
wrote Freak Out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this being said, that song China Girl is my fucking kryptonite. It makes me want to fucking end my life.
Really?
Yes,
China
that's,
Girl?
dude. That is the one song from the '80s that I hear that I will probably drive off the road
Well,
and
Really?
You won't have to hear
yeah.
it again. You won't.
yeah.
So is
No,
that
no,
your-
no. I
is
was
that-
hoping we was going to skip over.
Well, is that what you think of Bowie? Is that what you think of?
No,
You
no,
said
no,
you- okay.
no. But I think it's a big part of Bowie. You know what I mean? I just.
I think the video age was a big part of it.
I
though.
guess so.
Like,
It's not like- it's not-
yeah, I just think that song is just the worst thing he's
it was
ever done.
played out. It was MTV
Maybe,
played
maybe.
out.
Yeah, it's not my favorite Bowie
yeah,
song.
but no, that is like my kryptonite. Like
Okay.
it's
All right,
fucking
cool.
god awful.
I think that's it, boys.
I think that's it for David Bowie. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about, man. Wait, one more thing. So he was an actor.
Yes.
And his biggest role was in Labyrinth. And I don't like the two of you both said when I mentioned that in the break, you're like, I've never seen
I've
Labyrinth.
never seen it. I've seen Penn's Labyrinth.
No.
I've never even seen that.
I've never
No,
seen.
you have to see
It, it looked freaky. I don't know. Bowie's hair like scared me.
oh my god, dude, he's great in it. It's
I know about the
80s.
crystal ball. That's all I know is about the crystal ball.
I tried to look for it. It wasn't for free on any of my streaming
Dude,
things, so I didn't
I'll
watch
give you
it.
the $3. I'll give you the $3 for we leave to go watch it. I want to play a little bit of whatever Magic Dance with David Bowie on that, and then yeah, dude, you guys got to watch.
Okay.
That's your homework.
You remind me of the babe. Babe with the power. Power of voodoo. You do. Remind me of the babe. I saw my baby crying for this babe could cry. What could I do? My baby's love had gone and left my baby blue. Nobody knew what kind of magic spell to use.
Now I know why I never watched it.
yeah.
It's dated
I'm
as
good.
shit,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm good, dude.
Dude, it's great. It's a
Nah.
great movie. Like, I mean, if you
It's
watch
probably
like
beautiful. It's
you watch,
probably
like,
shot beautiful. It's probably the sets probably look awesome. It was a Jim Henson movie.
it's a Jim
Yeah.
Henson movie, so
Yeah.
it's like got that Dark Crystal. Like I'm high as shit.
That scared the shit out of me too. The
Yeah.
Darkest Crystal.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I still have nightmares of that.
Oh yeah.
But Bowie was in another movie that I really liked called The Prestige. And he
Yes,
plays
he
Nikolai
played
Tesla.
Tesla.
He plays
Yeah.
Tesla, and he's fucking great in it.
the
Yeah.
kind of newer, like the the magician
yes,
shit.
Yeah,
really?
Hugh
He's in that?
Jackman
I never
and
watched that. He's
Christian
in that?
Bale.
you should watch it.
Dude,
It's
it's
a
a
good movie.
great movie.
Yeah, he plays
He
Nikolai
plays Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the only like thing he did later in life is
Yeah.
acting. Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he popped up a thing here and there. I think.
Oh, you know what? He was in Zoolander.
Oh, that's
Remember
horrible,
when he's
too.
No, Zoolander
No,
1 is the
that's
best.
horrible.
When he says, "All right, we're
No.
a show off." All right.
He's also in. I mean, he also wrote with the Bing Crosby the Christmas song,
right,
which
right,
is
right.
like I
This kid
How
is like-
high was he when he got that?
I said around the holidays, like that is the Reese's peanut butter cup of Christmas songs. It's
God, I
superior
hate
to.
it.
Do you really?
I fucking hate it.
That is my favorite Christmas song ever.
No, I don't dislike it.
We talked about that at our
I think
one of our
maybe
Christmas
you're like
episodes.
once or twice, and I'm over it.
No,
But,
that's my
yeah.
favorite. We're gonna move on, man. We got second thoughts. We got a shit ton of second thoughts. I've got a recap on my homework, so I had some homework piling up over a couple episodes. I got that, and we got the electric chair, and we'll get the hell out of here. All right, second thoughts. We got a ton of feedback on our Rush episode.
That's awesome.
Our Rush episode, man, we did more in a week than we normally do for listening in a month. So
That's
it was
amazing.
provocative.
That's amazing.
And
You just asked the question, do they suck? And people was like, I don't know.
right.
But when you brought up the concept, I knew that it was going to be big.
Yeah. So it did really well. So Alex Krasmowski said
Alex the man.
This was my
awesome.
favorite episode. If you like 2112, check out Hemispheres. Alex, your comment of this was my favorite episode just made my day. I read it. I was having like a shit day at work, and I was like scrolling through all of our crap, and I'm like, boom, thank you.
Yeah, Alex is awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And hope to see you down at the bar again soon. So Tom McAlley, Tim McAlley, I'm sorry. Tim McAlley said, I got in an argument with a guy at your bar once. He was a Teamster who worked load-ins and load-outs at the Spectrum. He was telling stories about the great rock and roll bands he worked with over the years. He mentioned Van Halen, Kiss, Zeppelin, and Crew. I asked if he was ever a roadie for a Rush show. Aren't they the greatest rock and roll band ever? He got so pissed and said, no, Rush isn't rock and roll. He said, no, Rush isn't rock and roll. I went into the green room and they were drinking spring water and doing yoga and reading the Fountainhead and shit. That is not rock and roll. Right on, brother. Kevin Kelly, when I was younger, I didn't like Rush. I thought the lead singer was a woman. But I feel like they paved the way for great Canadian bands like Nickelback and the Crash Test Dummies.
Kevin, my brother.
I like the Crash Test Dummies a lot.
And Kevin loved Kevin. Yeah, he loved them. I never
Totally.
understood it. Yeah.
Kevin's the man.
Matthew Kucharski?
Matt Kucharski.
Yeah, that's the guy you went and saw Rush with.
We went and saw Rush together.
All right. Some of the most talented musicians around, whether you classify them as rock and roll or not, whether you like Geddy's squealy voice or not, they were borderline geniuses are writing and performing their art. Selling out concerts for many years that they did, and their longevity of writing, recording, performing, I believe, is a testament to who they were. Only life and its issues stopped them from continuing. Right on, brother. Jill Drew, yes, they suck. I had to suffer through my brother's Rush phase. I turned them off immediately. Louis Marchesani said, yes, they suck. And then
Just bluntly sucks.
They suck.
And then we got a really long email from my buddy Sean from Atlanta. He said, I finally listened to your podcast as Rush suck. Here are some thoughts in no particular order. 1. Rush is a generational prog rock. The 70s were a mess for rock and roll, particularly given how strong the 60s rock scene was. Since Rush's music was written in the 70s or 80s, our generation isn't old enough to have listened to it growing up, similar to Kiss. A lot of how you feel about music tends to tie to what was going on in the world, where you are in life during the times when the stuff was coming out. Think about the grunge era or hair metal. You had to be there to get it. You have to remember that the 70s and 80s were people were truly prisoners of rock and roll. Thank you. You couldn't just dial up a song because there was no internet. You had to wait for a broadcast or a radio. You had to buy the record or the 8-track. You didn't even have CDs. Zeppelin was dead. Hendrix was dead. Disco and Elton John were polluting everything. Music producers decided what was good music by controlling what got played. I feel like you guys really missed this in your podcast. You didn't even mention Red Borchetta, which is one of their really great signature songs. Neil Peart absolutely destroyed it on this kit. It took me 34 episodes to finally tune into an entire episode, but it was great. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man. And he binge watched the whole. He was sending me shit on like the guitar episode.
Oh,
and
nice.
So
Welcome to the party,
yeah,
pal.
dude, we've only got so much time we could be here. So, and then we heard from Jackie from Seattle.
Jackie.
We haven't heard from Jackie in a while. I said, hey, fellas, that was an excellent breakdown of side 1 of 2112. I've never heard any of that before about the story around the lyrics. What is crazy is a day or two before your episode, I went to the gas station Mini Mart to pick up a small bag of mini Ritz Bits, peanut butter crackers, some snacks, a couple of 40s, and some smokes for me and my boo.
Nice.
The grand total came to $21.12. Me and the worker dude bonded over Rush. Good times. Thanks for your awesome American Pie episode. I appreciate how much research you put into your episodes and how kind and loving you all are to each other. I look forward to hearing another episode. Love, Whack Chops in Seattle.
Thanks for writing. We always love hearing from you.
Always love hearing
We
from you.
appreciate you, Jackie. Thank you.
Yeah, I wrote her back too, so looking forward. Doug, and you had an encounter at McCuskers.
I did. It was like so crazy. It was like a Saturday night. A group of people come in, and they come up to the bar, get their drink. A couple came up, and they're like, "Can we have a sticker? We like our sticker." And I'm like, "I'm sorry," because I was a little busy. It's like, "You're one of the brothers from the Prisoners of Rock and Roll." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Oh, let me run and get you a sticker." And I'm like, I just thanked them over and over and over again and how much they made my night.
How fucking cool is that?
Dude,
Yeah.
I love it. Like, it was just
Great.
it felt like we were getting something accomplished. Like, there's
We are.
faces.
We
you know?
are, man. I think, how many downloads do we have?
Yeah, speaking of accomplishments.
we just passed 6,000.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Joe Rogan gets 11 million in
That's
an
okay.
episode,
Yeah,
but I'm like,
but hey,
so
you
we
gotta
want
start
to kick
somewhere.
off. Dude, the fact that people have listened to us 6,000 times, and it's not just the three of us doing it 2,000 each. It's just fucking awesome,
amazing.
man.
And like we have people in New Zealand and other places I never even thought of. They would hear my voice, and here they are.
Yeah. I didn't want to, like we put a lot of work into this, right? Like we do a lot of research and we try to nerd out, and we hope everybody has a couple laughs and they learn something. And I think we're kind of finding our niche. We're in the learn something.
Sure, that's kind of that was me this episode. Yeah,
we're not in the just three nudniks sitting around talking about music. It's like we want you to learn something. Have a couple
I want to learn something too.
Yeah, we're definitely in the learn something. All right, so speaking of learn something. So I had some homework that was compiled over a couple episodes, and I kept making notes, and I finally did it all. The first one came out of the American Pie episode. It was where did the royalties from Charles Manson go?
Okay.
I went way fucking too far down the rabbit hole of this than I ever wanted to.
Did you join the ranch?
I did. So I'm not gonna look at my notes because I started it was too much.
Yeah.
So and I tried telling my wife the whole story very succinctly. I just want to get it off my chest. So when he died, people came out of the goddamn woodwork saying, I want his money. So it was like the people who wanted his money, his estate,
his art,
and his body wasn't claimed. So his body literally sat in a morgue for a couple months.
Wow.
So I wrote, the piece of shit had even spent 5 minutes in Satan's butthole in hell before people came out of the woodworking saying they had a right to control his image. So one guy came out and was like, Charles Manson fathered me at an orgy. I should get his money. I swear to God.
Okay.
And then, so the guy who four people all came out. It was one of the women and one of the other
followers.
fucking Looney Tunes. Yeah. They slept together and had a kid, and it was giving up for adoption.
I'm sure they're out there.
Oh yeah,
but they're out there.
Yeah. So, but somebody legitimately came out. This guy he's Charles Manson's grandson, and it was from Charles Manson was married. He had a kid. He had Charles Manson Jr. Charles Manson Jr. fucking committed suicide because he couldn't handle the weight of being Charles Manson Jr. And he fucking change your name.
Damn.
So the kid changed his name, and he wound up suing the rights. He got the rights to his body. So he has his ashes, and he owns the right to all of his shit.
Is there a dollar amount?
Hang on. So a couple other turds that came out. One guy was a pen pal at Charles Manson the last 5 years. Charles Manson wrote me a letter and saying he wants me to have everything. Oh, and by the way, I'm an enormous Charles Manson memorabilia collector. Wants me to have everything and disown. He wrote this letter and said I disown all my kids. So there were multiple wills, and they were one was fabricated, or both of them were fabricated. So his kid gets the money. And the money becomes an issue because one, it was you get the royalties over the Beach Boys covered one of his songs. Yeah. The Guns N' Roses cover.
Yeah.
And in that movie, the Tarantino movie. So there's a scene in that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Manson girls are dumpster diving and they're singing a cappella You Got Game Girl, which is a song we threw in the electric chair.
Yeah.
Tarantino didn't want to put that in the movie. Mm-hmm. And somebody told him, no, dude, Manson will never get it. It will go to the victim's families. He's like, okay, cool. So he puts it in the movie, and it turns out that this is where I went down the rabbit hole. Mm. So the one of the people who died in the Volyak Frykowski, he was he was married to the girl that was the Folgers coffee.
Sure.
And I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean dismissive as he's the boy, but he was one of the guys who was murdered. He was the only that was the only family that sued Manson for wrongful death.
Right. Okay.
Winds up winning the lawsuit because everyone else was this piece of shit will never make money because it was inconceivable.
Yeah.
He died under weird circumstances in the 90s, and the window of that lawsuit expired. So the wrongful death, somebody could have petitioned and been extend that window. They didn't. So the rights to all his shit went back to Manson. So, and then it became down to his heirs. So this his grandson got all the rights in that Tarantino movie.
Wow.
And he said he wants to use it to, one thing he said, I want to get a van and drive around and help the homeless. And I was no family of Charles Manson should be in a fucking van doing anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just go lay low, dude.
Yeah. So that's a really succinct, I was reading all kinds of.
Do you think it's in the millions?
I don't know if it's in the millions, man, but it was a lot.
There's his network. It's definitely worth something.
But in every T-shirt he's on,
everything,
all that. I mean, I'm sure a lot
people
of
buy
that
this
is
shit up. You're fucking crazy.
Man, I went down to this is the most Jersey Shore thing ever. You go down the Jersey Shore, the boardwalk, and they have all those games you can win. For 5 zillion tickets, you get a pencil eraser.
Yeah,
they had one. It was millions of tickets. I took a picture of it, but it was a check that was signed by Charles Manson.
Fuck out of here.
And it was like, $30,000 worth of. You had to play skee ball for eternity
Jesus
to finally
Christ.
get it. But it was
that's a memorabilia.
I just took a picture of it, like, get this.
yeah. All right, so
Nice.
What do streaming platforms pay? So we talked about this with Spotify. So I looked this up, and the streams are like I have what it means per stream, but it's so percentages of a cent. It's so I plugged it in. I found like a calculator. It was like, if you're on this platform, whatever. So I plugged in like, what if you get 1 million plays on a platform? So here's to clarify what Spotify pays. So if you get 1 million streams on Spotify, you get $3,180. If you go on Amazon Music, you get $4,020. Apple Music, you get $7,800. If you go on Tidal, which I think is Jay-Z's platform, you get $12,840. If you go on Pandora, you get $1,330. So Spotify is pretty shitty. That Tidal, which makes sense that they would pay 4 times the amount, given that it started by a musician.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
that
Very
was
cool.
And then my third homework assignment was bands that got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame while Rush was eligible.
Okay.
So I went through year by year.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read every one, but here's a couple bands. You tell me if they belong in Before Rush. Love and Spoonful.
Never heard of them.
They've got a Hot Town, Somewhere
No, they
in the
fucking
City.
suck.
All right. I every time they come up,
Yeah.
you say you don't know them, and I sing that. The Moonglows,
Nope.
Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Before Rush,
That's kind of hard.
James Taylor,
No.
No.
Steely Dan,
No.
Brenda Lee,
Maybe.
Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, Traffic,
Yes.
The Pretenders,
No.
REM,
Fuck no.
Little Anthony and the Imperials,
I don't know who that is.
Genesis, Dr. John. So that was like just a list of kind of was like, all right, they got in before Rush. I'm like, just do they belong? No, fucking 80 bands got in before Rush. So, all right, that's all my homework. Music news. All right, I only got one music news thing, so we can wrap up the Super Bowl.
Oh, God.
Man, all right, what do you think?
2 thumbs down, except for Snoop. Snoop-a-doop-a-loop.
So I think we were all really looking forward to the Super Bowl halftime show. And as we were watching it, I was messaging you guys, and Ryan, you sent a picture of a comic book guy, the worst show ever. I really liked it.
I expected too much.
That's what I expected. Trash.
What did you expect?
I expected trash. If anything, the 50 Cent part didn't make any fucking sense. Hey, he didn't make any sense.
Right.
But like him hanging upside down, and
Oh, it's from his video.
who
That was
cares? But like Snoop's like, with a pocket full of rubbers and my homeboys too. He's not up there with a 40. Smoking a blunt on top of this. They caught him smoking,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what Snoop does. But he wasn't standing on stage smoking a blunt on
Right.
top of that building. Like
Right.
he was.
They were like, oh, he was smoking weed before he went on
That's
air.
what
And
he
I'm like,
does.
I would be
disappointed
right.
if he
We'd
didn't.
be remiss if he was right.
Yeah.
Right. I really liked it. I thought it was cool that
I
hip
thought
hop was.
Snoop was good. I thought Dre was good. I thought Mary J was trash. I thought Eminem was okay. I thought who's the other
Kendrick
fucking
Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I don't know anything. He
I
looked
thought-
like Michael Jackson out there.
I thought Mary J had a couple points where she just brought it, like at the end, like singing. And I was like, yeah, right on, man. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool that hip hop finally got their moment in the
Oh, yeah.
sun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, if anybody was disappointed that Tupac wasn't involved in it,
Right.
Well, I saw memes this week, and apparently other people thought this was going to happen also. There's like,
The
what is
Tupac,
it? Like,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
thought you were going to get a Tupac hologram. Oh, no, you get 50 Cent hanging
Right.
upside
Yeah.
down.
I saw that
Like,
too.
you know what I mean? Like,
50 cents now $1.
so it made me kind of feel good that I wasn't the only person out there that thought this might be possible.
No,
You know.
it was.
I don't know.
It was one for the fans.
Yeah.
It was one
no,
for the fans.
I definitely would have liked to see the NWA thing, but that's, just me.
I was glad to see 50 Cent, like that I'm the only one that became a fat piece of shit during the pandemic. That 50 Cent became Tree Fitty. I really enjoyed it, but that's, whatever. That's just me, man. All right, it's time for the electric chair where we kill a song for being terrible. And this week we decided we're going to go all the way back to the 70s and we're going to kill ABBA.
Is ABBA? Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know. Well, I'm sophisticated. I put my pinky out, it's ABBA. If I put my pinky in, it's ABBA.
I like ABBA. Like water.
Yeah, your South Philly accent. That's how ABBA. Oh,
Water
I love
ice.
ABBA.
Man, this dude.
I don't get it.
Spotify. This song has been
People
played
like to dance.
667 million times.
God.
So with
You
the
know-
math and everything like that, we're like, you get 1,000 for $1 million.
All right, I should plug that into the calculator.
Yeah.
How much money they made? I'll have to figure that
Dude,
shit
you
out.
go to all the dances, the weddings, all the shit. You know, you get all the middle-aged women up there dancing with each other and shit like that. They just don't give a fuck anymore.
No, that's pretty late in the evening. And people are shit-faced.
Their shoes are off. They're dancing around.
they're having a good time.
You
But
know?
no, I don't want to hear this in McCuskers anytime soon.
I think it's blocked. I think it's
Is it
blocked.
really?
I think it is.
God.
It's like they're like the Ace of Base.
Ace of Base.
They paved the way for the Ace of Base.
Yeah.
But the thing is, dude, they have that show coming out, like that Broadway show, and there's like holograms of ABBA going to show up in the thing. And
Tupac's gonna come up
and tickets are
blam.
mad expensive. I think it's starting out in London, and they're mad expensive.
Dude, they're
I know, I don't get it.
Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think they are.
That's a sin.
Hang on.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They went in 2010. The Bee Gees inducted them.
Oh my
Of
God.
course they did.
They're all still
right.
alive.
They make a lot of money.
No.
Their catalog's huge.
Right,
That's
yeah.
fair. All right.
Well, it's like 3 songs are like fucking this song. It's like,
No,
I don't know
never
another
again.
song by it. All
Yeah.
right.
No, it's kill it.
We sentence you to death.
I feel like that song's going to be reincarnated.
Jesus
Christ, God, how many times I've heard that song?
Another thing we never have to talk about ever again.
No.
Right? So that is
Good riddance.
it on David Bowie. Dude, we made it. I did not bring my laptop charger down here, and my laptop is down to 19%.
Oh,
Nice.
boy, good job.
18%, so we did it.
Good
we
job.
did it.
So that's it on David Bowie, man. Thank you so much for spending the last 2 hours with us. We hope you learned something, and if not, we hope you were at least entertained. And if you weren't, this is the Rob Owens podcast. We'd love it if you follow us on your favorite podcast platform and give us a review. You can also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, prisonersofrockandroll.com. And lastly, you could email us at prisonersofrockandroll@gmail.com. So thanks again for listening to us, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Keep on rocking. Peace out.